the business podcast that gives you that competitive edge every single day with our daily 10-minute business lessons for the real world. I'm your host, your coach, your teacher, Omar Zenhom. I'm also the co-founder of the $100 MBA, a complete business training and community online. And in today's lesson, you will learn what is the best day and time to run a webinar. Well, you're in luck because Nicole and I are founders of a webinar software. Yes, as many of you know, we are the co-founders of Webinar Ninja. And because we run this software company, we have a lot of data on when is the best time, when's the best day to run a webinar based on our users. So this is not just through my own experiences or hunches. This is pure data that we're going to share with you to give you some advice on when is the best time to run your webinar. Now, there are many factors to consider, and we're going to go over that in today's lesson. So what I teach you today, make sure you take it seriously because this is grounded in facts. Sometimes you might think, oh, wow, really? That's the best time or the best day? Yes, the data doesn't lie. Our perception of what we think is best is sometimes inaccurate. And that's why data trumps all. So if you're doing webinars or you're thinking about starting to do webinars, I'm going to give you some help with that too. How to get started, how you can get a free course on how to plan and launch your first webinar, and specifically what day and time is best for you and your audience. All right, guys, let's get into it. Let's get down to business. Today's episode of the $100 MBA Show is sponsored by Earth Class Mail. Have your own professional business address and have all the mail that gets sent to your business address scanned and digitized right into your account in the cloud. Earth Class Mail makes it super easy for you to have paperless mail. You can access it anywhere and it syncs with all your apps like accounting apps so you can pay bills or you can get paid, all without touching a piece of paper. To give it a try for a full month, just go to earthclassmail.com/MBA month and use coupon code MBA month. So when is the best day? When is the best time to run a webinar? This is an important question, especially if you're running webinars regularly. To get started, we need to recognize the fact that we live in a global society. Webinars are online. That means people can access them anywhere they are. So your assumptions of when people are free or when this is the best time for them to watch this webinar may not be correct when you're looking at other cultures, other communities, other countries. And this is something I learned through the data we gathered at Webinar Ninja with all our different users that run different kinds of webinars at different times, different days, all around the world. So let's just recognize the fact that the Monday through Friday work week is something that is prominent in the world and in a lot of Western countries, but there are many countries that don't have that same work week. The idea of having Saturday and Sunday off as weekends is not always the case in every culture. Some countries only have one day off. And you might think, really? Yes, over 1 billion people only have one day off in India. The work week in India is a Monday through Saturday. They only have Sunday off. No wonder they're one of the fastest growing economies in the world. But the point here is that you got to think globally because your audience can be global. Some work weeks are Sunday through Thursday. Their days off are Saturday and Friday. So in some countries like in the Middle East or Northern Africa, their work week is Sunday through Thursday, so their weekend is Friday, Saturday. So just recognize the fact that work weeks and days off are different. So instead of mentioning days of the week, I'm going to mention days of the work week. For example, we found through our data that the actual show-up rate or the attendance rate of webinars on the first day of the work week and the last day of the work week, whether that's Monday and Friday or Sunday and Thursday, wherever you are in the world, those show-up rates are not that high. And that's a trend. And we look at across all different audiences. It's not the worst idea, but it's also not the best idea. People still show up to these webinars, but you want to give yourself the best chance for people to show up. So in the West, it's Monday and Friday, which would be the first and last days of the work week. These days I would say where you're from, because usually people are either recovering from the weekend or getting started. They have a lot of things on their to-do list, whether they're in their office or in their business, or they're winding down and getting ready for the weekend on Friday. Now, statistically, we found that the second day of the work week was actually the best day. So again, in the West, this would be Tuesday. And the third and the fourth day of the work week, so Wednesday and Thursday here in America, were equally as good. But Tuesday ranked a slightly higher. Now, I don't know why, but this is just what the data shows. Now, remember, we're working in work week days because this data will reflect when we look at webinars that are happening somewhere else. Say, for example, India. So remember, guys, we're looking globally here. We're looking at the days of the week for work. So just because I just said Thursday is good, that's good for the West because it's the second to last day of the work week. But if your audience is in India, or you're doing a webinar for a predominantly Indian audience in India, then Friday is a good day. So it's important before you start planning your webinar to know your audience. Take a look at your email list, and through your email marketing software, whether it's MailChimp or ActiveCampaign or Infusionsoft, you can find out where this person is located. Where do they sign up? And they find this through their IP address. And you can filter and find out how many people are in the US, whether that's East Coast, West Coast. You can find out how many people are in Europe, how many people are in Asia, how many people are in Australia. And if you have a good enough number, say for example, 100 people in Australia are on your email list, you may want to run a webinar just for them, for a day and time that works for that audience. But if you're just getting started, you may just want to focus on the best day and time that works for the majority of your audience, whether that majority is in the US or the UK or whatever. So we covered the day. We said the second day of the work week or the second to last day of the work week works best for webinars. Let's talk about time. Now, again, we have time zones. Times are relative. So if you're running a webinar that's predominantly for the US, whether it's East Coast or West Coast, we found the range between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. in terms of start time. This is start time of the webinar, or this is presuming the webinar is 1 hour. So between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. is the best time for a webinar in the US. We've seen from 27% all the way to 57% show-up rate. That means 57% of the people that register for the webinar show up. Now you might be saying 57%, that's the best? Wow. A little over half the people don't show up that register? Yes, a lot of people register for things and don't show up. In fact, we found the average is 1/3 of registrants show up to the webinar. And anything that's above 1/3, 33%, you're good to go. It's all gravy from there. Now, funny enough, we found in Europe running a webinar between 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. actually is the best. You would think it would be the same kind of time range, but no. We saw the highest attendance rates that were targeted for Europe between 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. That's awesome. So keep that in mind. Morning people in Europe, I guess. Now, in Asian countries, so we're talking about India, Southeast Asia, China, Japan, these are Asian countries. I separate Asian from Australian. So Asian countries, we found that evenings do very bad. So 7 p.m. on is a very bad time for you to run a webinar for Asians in their time zone. So they probably are eating dinner or they're doing something with their families, so it's a really bad time. In fact, we've seen show-up rates as low as 13% for anything that's past 7 p.m. The sweet spot in Asia, interestingly enough, is from 2 to 4 p.m. 2 to 4 p.m. is a great time to run a webinar for an audience in Asia. Lastly, Australia. Australia's sweet spot in terms of the best time to run a webinar for Australian audiences is between 10 a.m. and noon. It's a 2-hour spot. I don't know why, but something happens between 10 and noon. 9 a.m. is not bad, but 10 to noon, the show-up rates really spike. Past noon, it seems like in Australia, they actually eat lunch during their lunch break. So it's not a great idea to run a webinar during lunch times in Australia. Guys, I know I've given a lot of facts, a lot of data. I got more when it comes to this topic, and I want to give you a free gift on making sure you plan and launch your webinar properly. But before that, I got to give love to today's sponsor, HostGator. When you're building a business, you don't want to have to worry about the tech of creating your business website or registering domain names or getting SSL certificates for secure checkouts. Let the experts take care of that for you over at HostGator. When you sign up for HostGator, you get 24/7 live support. So you get a whole team of people dedicated to make sure you win with your business website. They'll help you and walk you through creating your website, maintaining your website, and upgrading your website whenever you need it to be upgraded. That also includes when you start with the baby plan with HostGator, you can upgrade at any time as your business and your website grows. But the point here is just to get started. And now is a great time because you could save 30% off with our amazing discount code. That means you can get started for only $5 a month. Just go to hostgator.com/MBA30. Again, that's hostgator.com/MBA30. Guys, to wrap up today's lesson, I want to let you know that we have a free 7-day video course with cheat sheets on how to plan and launch your first webinar. It's completely free and people love it because I walk you through exactly how to plan your lesson, how to plan your workshop, how to put it all together, how to deliver it, and how to market it to make sure you have a packed house on your webinar. All you got to do is go to webinarninja.co/plan. That URL will take you to a page where you can sign up for free for this amazing course. Again, that's webinarninja.co/plan. Guys, thank you so much for listening to the $100 MBA show. I love teaching today's lesson. You know I'm crazy about webinars, and I love these stats. They really help you get to the bottom of what's the best thing to do. Just for full transparency, I want to let you know that at Webinar Ninja, we really believe in your privacy. So the data that we gather is private. We never share your data with anybody. We only look at holistic data to know how to best serve our customers, like today's lesson. So if you have 500 attendees or 5 attendees, no one knows except you. All right, guys, I hope to check you in tomorrow's episode where we teach a whole new lesson. We're going to go into how fast should you grow your email list? What rate should you be growing your emails? How many emails should you be getting every day, every month, every year? We get into it in tomorrow's episode, so make sure you hit subscribe. But before I go, I want to leave you with this. If there's any way that you can get data to make decisions, do it. It helps you make decisions clearly. You're not second guessing yourself. You're not saying, hey, is it just me? Is this what I think? Maybe my intuition's wrong. Or maybe the opposite. Some of us, we have an overconfidence in our intuition. Data is king when it comes to finding out what works and what doesn't. All right, guys, I'll check you in tomorrow's episode. I'll see you then. Take care.